to create her golden order. As for when this all took place, we do know it happened relatively early on into Marika's reign. According to the spell Surge O Flame, the giant's flame is the flame of ruin, capable of burning the Erd Tree, and so, following the war against the giants, its ruinous blaze was sealed and guardians were appointed to watch over it, and those guardians were known as the Fire Monks. However, one of those fire monks joined the Black Flame. As we learn from the spirit Black Flame monk Amon was the first fire monk to turn traitor and join the Black Flame. Amon pledged himself to the god-slain Black Flame, and so became the first fire monk to turn traitor, and perhaps it is better said that he fled from the giant flame out of cowardice. So when Amon became a traitor, the Black Flame still had the power to slay gods. In addition, if you accept the Flame of Frenzy and save Melina, after you complete the game, you get this special cutscene, which shows Melina with a purple-colored eye. So it's not surprising that the dominant theory about the Glowmite Queen is that she was Melina. Now, I have accepted the idea that Melina became the Glowmite Queen in this scene, but my biggest issue with the idea that Melina was always the Glowmite Queen was the timeline. When Malekith defeated the Godskins, I didn't even think Melina existed, but we have a major revelation from the DLC. Once you defeat Mesmer, you can pick up his kindling, which reveals that Mesmer, much like his younger sister, bore a vision of fire. This effectively confirms that Melina is Mesmer's younger sister. Now, we don't know the age gap between the two siblings. The two could be twins and Mesmer could be the oldest one, or Melina could have been born years and years later. Personally, I think Mesmer and Melina were twins. Both have visions of fire and can act as kindling, and Marika has already given birth to two pairs of twins. Morgoth is full of self-loathing, but is fiercely devoted to the Erd Tree, whereas Mohg tries to create a new dynasty. Meanwhile, Mikola is cursed with eternal youth, while Melania is cursed with rot. So having another pair of twins would make a lot of sense, especially on a thematic level. And Mesmer and Melina would fit as polar opposites. Mesmer is heavily implied to be Marika's favorite child, at least before Godwyn. Marika made multiple blessings just for Mesmer, but none of her other children. He is willing to undertake an entire crusade and a vicious purge on Marika's behalf. We also see this statue that shows Marika embracing a child who is most likely Mesmer. Melina, on the other hand, seems confused by the concept of maternal affection.
I think he misses his mother. He wants someone to tell him he's beautiful. Does being born of a mother mean one behaves in such a manner?
Meanwhile, Melina's purpose was just to become a human road flare, so I could see why she would have rebelled against Marika. And there is a lot of evidence to suggest that Mesmer was born fairly early on. We know that Mesmer was like an elder brother to Radahn, and with the sobriquet the Impaler, it's implied that Mesmer earned that title in the war against the fire giants. After all, his furnace golems are decorated with the heads of decapitated fire giants. As a side note, I do wonder if Godwyn and Godfroy were twins. We do know that Godfroy is of the Golden lineage, and he does have Godfrey's icon, but it's not clear how exactly he is related to Godwyn and Godfrey. That is speculation, and I don't want to think about Godfroy more than FromSoft did. On a different note, thanks to data mining, we found out that the internal file name for the Putrescent Knight is Gloam-Eyed Knight. With a name like Gloam-Eyed Knight, there's definitely some type of connection there with the Gloam-Eyed Queen, and I think alchemy explains this connection. In a fantastic video, Smotown has made the argument that the Albanoirics and the Godskins are actually related, thanks to the Nox's interest in alchemy. The Albanoiric mask is a far cry from Godskin and the product of malicious mockery. We also know that both the Putrescents and the Albanoirics are considered impure or tainted. The congealed Putrescents have a similar shape to the and the globs have similar attacks to the silver tears. So I think the silver tears reflect a more advanced and refined version of the congealed putrescence. For alchemists, the first stage was the nigredo, which was sometimes a stage of putrefaction. The nigredo was followed by the albedo, which was the silver or moon condition, to quote Jung. So applying this to the game, the nigredo would be represented by the putrescence, and that would be refined into the albedo, or the silver tears and the albanorics. However, I don't think St. Trina was the Glowmite Queen. Nicola discarded St. Trina in the Realm of Shadow relatively recently, and the putrescent knight only became a knight after it imbibed St. Trina's nectar. So this knight is a pretty new creation. That brings me to my next point. The biggest obstacle to any theory that someone other than Melina is the Glowmite Queen is this eye. But in the DLC, FromSoft gave us a new, powerful explanation for why Melina has that eye. The DLC reinforces that the eye is an important part of an Empyrean, as Onslaught tells us.
Tender Miquela's eye is no mere morsel of flesh. It is a vessel of soaring grace, proof of his Empyrean lineage.
I'll also point out that Miquela abandoned his eye, but he didn't destroy it. Meanwhile, the Source Seals and Scar Seals from Marika and Radagon are actually eyes engraved with an Elden rune. But eyes can also contain and seal away threats to Marika and her Golden Order. We see this most clearly with Mesmer. According to his remembrance, a malevolent snake writhed within Mesmer, and so his very mother plucked out his eye and put in its place a seal of grace. Yet having done so, her fear compelled her to secret away from the child within the realm of shadow, hidden away, keeping company with the original sin and a hatred that would not be confined. And during the cutscene for his second phase, we see Mesmer pluck out the iris of grace that was holding back his one-eyed snake, which, for the record, is way bigger than 18 inches. We also find in the DLC irises of grace and occultation. In the realm of shadow, this artifice was employed by the priests of the Erd Tree to either intensify or quell the fears of their flock to magnificent effect. So with all of this in mind, I think it's possible that the power of the Glowmite Queen was either contained or sealed away into the Glow's eye, and when the queen was defeated, her eye was gouged out and eventually stored in Melina. What's more, the Glowmite Queen was defeated, she wasn't killed. So I do wonder if Marika was saving the eye for the proper time as part of her ultimate plan, but why would this eye be stored in Melina specifically? Melina's purpose is to serve as kindling and open the Erd Tree. As she tells us,
I have long observed the lands between. This world is in dire need of repair and death. Indiscriminate.
in one swoop, Marika would achieve two of her objectives. Melina's purpose would be fulfilled, and Destined Death would only be released after Marika's former rival with Destined Death would be incinerated. It's an elegant solution. What I like about this theory is that it lets a lot of the speculation continue about the Gloam-Eyed Queen and offers another explanation for the Melina cutscene. Of course, the only way Marika's plan wouldn't work would be if someone found an alternate source of kindling and decided to spare Melina. Speaking of which, I have a theory that challenges a lot of the conventional wisdom, so unhinged speculation ahead. I think the Gloam-Eyed Queen was actually chosen by the Three Fingers. According to the spell Black Flame Ritual, it is said that the Gloam-Eyed Queen was an Empyrean chosen by the Fingers. But notice that the spell doesn't say how many fingers. This vagueness reminded me of Hyetta.
May the blessing of the fingers be upon you.
How many fingers, Hyetta? How many? It would be very fitting if the Three Fingers chose the Gloam-Eyed Queen as a rival to oppose and depose Marika and her Two Fingers. I also want to point out that gloam doesn't necessarily mean purple. It's just another word for dusk. And there are many different colors that appear at dusk. In the base game, we have an ashen gray for the Age of the Duskborn ending, while the Earthly flower has a dusky yellow. So with that in mind, the yellow eyes of the Frenzied Flame could be another form of gloam eyes. And there is a weapon in the DLC that is made out of skin and inflicts madness, the Matting Hand. I'm assuming it's easier to stitch human skin than god skin. And of course, before you can let
Chaos! Take the world!
you do need to unleash destined death. You can see some of the overlap between death and all-consuming chaos. So this could offer another reason for why Melena's eye is revealed during the Frenzied Flame ending. And for what it's worth, in the 1.0 version of the game, the madness meter was purple and was represented by a purple eye. Of course, that is cut content, but that seems very relevant given what we know about Melina. But while I think the Three Fingers chose the Glomite Queen, I also believe there was a fracture between the two. From the Godskin swaddling cloth, we learn that the Queen cradled newborn Godskin apostles. So I think in the process of raising Godskins, the Glomite Queen came to appreciate being a maternal figure, and to protect her children, the Glomite Queen decided to turn away from the Three Fingers. Motherhood is a clearly important theme for Elden Ring, and this is further backed up by Melina.
If you intend to claim the Frenzied Flame, I ask that you cease. It is not to be meddled with. It is chaos, devouring life and thought unending. However ruined this world has become, however mired in torment and despair, life endures. Births continue. There is beauty in that. Is there not? Please, seek not the Frenzied Flame. As one who strives to become a lord, deny not the lives, the new births of this world. Those who will are not fit to be called lord, when the land they preside over is lifeless.
Thank you so much for watching. I'd love to know what Jens thinks.